Alright, so I just came back from watching Weapons, and to let you guys know, this is gonna be a non-spoiler review. And I do highly recommend that you guys don't look up any spoilers if you're not seeing this movie, because the way this movie is written, it's better not to know anything, because as you're watching this movie, things will slowly, so you figure out what's going on, what happened to these kids, what's really behind the scenes and what's really going on. It's better not to know anything, because that's the way the story is written, for you to slowly find out things. And I think you get more enjoyment out of it if you know nothing and you're following the story yourself. So yes, if you're not seeing this movie, do not look up any spoilers at all. Now, before I get into this review, I want to let you guys know something. And I am pretty sure that I am not the only one that thinks this. Because when it comes to modern day horror movies, the ones that are coming out from Hollywood, the Eastern ones are a different story. But when it comes to Hollywood horror movies, they're crappy movies. Like, the horror's not even there. Like, the writing's garbage. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense. There's characters that are so unlikable and they make these dumb decisions. And I was actually going to make a video about talking about that, but I might make it in the future, but we'll see. But you know what I'm saying, right? So coming from me thinking this, right? After watching this movie, I actually did enjoy this movie. I think this movie was actually pretty good. And you know what? Hollywood needs to make horror movies like this one. Because this movie was like an atmospheric horror. Like, there are some scenes in this movie that are absolutely creepy. Like, the atmosphere of the movie, like the way it was shot, certain angles, the way they introduced, like, the horror elements and stuff like that. The movie is creepy. Now, I feel the thing is, it's very hard to talk about this movie without getting into spoilers. But I won't. I'm not going to spoil anything. So it's a very creepy movie where it's those atmosphere horror movies that usually the East, like I think Japan makes. There's some video games and stuff like that got the atmospheric horror. Yeah, this movie is that, like, it's a very atmospheric horror type of movie, and there's some scenes, like I said, they are very creepy. The acting was pretty good. The characters are somewhat likable. They weren't making any dumb decisions, which was a good thing for the first time ever. I actually did like the characters because they weren't making stupid decisions like in previous horror movies. The one thing that I did like about these characters and the way it was acted was the characters felt very natural, because the way they were acting these characters, the way they were portraying these characters, everything felt natural. Like, it was natural behavior. Like, if something like this were to happen, they will go like this, like everyday people, like natural, if you guys know what I mean. So yeah, these characters felt very natural. Like, I don't think there was any point where these characters felt like they went over the top or anything like that, or they're making some really, really dumb decisions. No, it did feel like a natural movie. Like, the characters were believable. Like, this is their personalities, and this is what they will do in these situations. It felt, like I said, very natural, very well written characters, I would say, as well, because it felt natural as you're watching this. And the actors actually did a very good job portraying these characters. They really did. Now, when it comes to the story, I think the story was okay. Like, it was enjoyable. There were, like, at the beginning of the movie, like roughly like a bit like the first half of the movie, there was some scenes where it really slows down, but it does pick up again, which I think it's okay. Like, it is a little bit of a negative with the slowdowns. It was a bit of a negative, but I think the whole story as a whole, because these characters, they got to set up these characters. We got to find out who they are. I think it was naturally done. So yeah, I think the story was actually, like I said, it was okay. But the creepiness is where this movie shines. Like, the way they set it up and all that stuff. There's a build up to it, you know what I mean? Like, there are some really creepy things, like the way certain things move and stuff like that, right? Here's another thing. There's no jump scares in this movie at all. There's no jump scares. You know how in the recent horror movies, how they have these cheap jump scares? Scared you, you know what I mean? Cheap jump scares. There is none of that in this movie. None of that. Like I said, it's a very atmospheric kind of horror, which I really did enjoy. And obviously, like, some of the characters, the way, I don't want to, look, it's hard to talk about it without going into spoilers, but I'll say it as vague as possible. Because here's the thing, like I mentioned before, is that the way this story is told to you, it slowly unfolds, like, what's going on. Like, what are you dealing with here? Like I said before, this is why I said that going into this, you gotta go completely blind. Make sure you guys don't, if you guys are not seeing this movie, do not look up spoilers or anything like that. It's better to go in blind, because the way this movie is told to you, as a movie starts, you don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know you don't know what's going on, because as the story unfolds, like you're slowly learning things as you go. You know what I mean? Like, what are you dealing with? That's what you're thinking in your head. Like, what is it? What is this threat? What's really going on? Right? But the way it's told to you and the way it's slowly revealed to you, because there are some reveals and some of those scenes, it gets kind of creepy. And yeah, that's the way the movie really shines, I think, as well. Because, like I said, it's creepy and you don't know what's going on. Like, what are we dealing with here? You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's very hard to talk about it because I have to go into spoilers, but I'll leave it at that because I don't want to go into spoilers. Now, the only negatives I would say is that there are some scenes like here and there where it kind of really slows down, but then picks back up. I'll say that's a little bit of a negative. And also, I would say the climax, the only negative is, I would say this as vague as possible because I don't want to spoil it, but there are some comedic moments in the climax that I think that kind of took away from the horror in the climax. But I'll leave it at that. I won't say any more because I have to get into spoilers. But that's the only negatives I can think of in this movie. The rest of the movie was actually pretty good. Like I said, I did enjoy it. So, do I recommend this? Yes. If you guys like horror movies, especially like even like me, like I said before, like I hated the modern days, you know, Hollywood horror movies. And even I would say I actually did enjoy this. But if you like horror movies, this is a must watch. You gotta go out and watch this movie. And I'll say it, Hollywood finally made a proper horror movie. This is actually a good movie. Like especially coming from me, you know, with the hates the horror movie, like the ones that came out of Hollywood, they're all garbage, you know, for me. But with this one, I actually did enjoy it. This is actually a good movie. And as I said, if you like horror movies, this is a must watch. You need to go out and watch this movie. Anyway, those are my thoughts of the movie. So that's enough from me. So like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And yeah, thank you for watching.